the October 2019 fandom feature, I sort of have to give you guys a bit of an apology. I know it's the Halloween season, and I wanted to make all of my monthly segments on my channel in October Halloween themed like I usually do, but to be honest, I wasn't sure which movie I would actually talk about that's one of my personal favorites that actually had any Halloween elements. And I was originally planning on reviewing a different film from this specific director that we're going to be talking about today, but what I didn't know was that he was going to be releasing a brand new film in his now cult classic favorite, View Askewniverse, and that of course is the New Jersey native Kevin Smith and his new film, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So maybe I could stretch a little bit and say it's kind of scary to look back and realize that we were introduced to Kevin Smith and a little film in 1994 called Clerks 20 years ago. I was originally planning on reviewing Clerks, but because of the new movie, I thought that it would be only appropriate before I saw it and reviewed it for you guys to go back to the movie that this is an actual sequel for, and that is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Of course, Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, and of course, Jason Mewes as the loudmouth stoner Jay. So of course, if you're a Kevin Smith fan, you know who Jay and Silent Bob are. They were actually introduced from the very beginning of Kevin Smith's View Askewniverse library in Clerks, but they really didn't have much of a role. And as his movies started moving on, we started to see them a little bit more in some of the other movies. But Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which was originally supposed to be the final installment, wow, that sure went in a different direction. He thought that it was appropriate that there should be a movie that revolves just around Jay and Silent Bob. So, we begin at the beginning in this movie at the famous Quick Stop, where Dante and Randall officially put a restraining order on them, and it all brings them to Holden McNeil, who of course is played by Ben Affleck, only to tell them that there's going to be a movie based on the comic book characters that Holden and his friend Banky created in the film Chasing Amy, Blunt Man, and Chronic. Jay and Silent Bob are not getting any royalties, and they're pissed to high heaven, so they're gonna go from New Jersey to Hollywood to stop this movie from getting made. Now, along with a whole bunch of Kevin Smith regulars and special appearances of characters that showed up in all of the Kevin Smith movies that led up to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, there was a slew of famous faces in this movie. Of course, you had Ali Larter, Eliza Dushku, Morris Day and the Time, you had Judd Nelson, you had Jon Stewart, Will Ferrell, and the list goes on and on and on. So many famous faces had to play a part in this movie, because for the culmination of the View Askewniverse, why wouldn't you? Along with all of the references that you could possibly want as a Kevin Smith fan. Which, of course, for me personally, even though I do have a great time with this movie, it is juvenile, it is stupid, but it is so freaking hilarious. Out of all the Kevin Smith movies that we have gotten up until this point, this may be the worst one, particularly in the View Askewniverse. I haven't seen some of Kevin Smith's movies outside of the View Askewniverse, although, speaking of those, I will say Jersey Girl is extremely underappreciated, and I really think that you should see that cute little romantic comedy. I really do like that one. But this movie is really an entire 2 hours of an inside joke. If you've never seen a Kevin Smith movie before, particularly that features Jay and Silent Bob, this movie is not gonna impact you as much as someone like myself who had been watching Kevin Smith's movies since his late high school years. Dogma was the first Kevin Smith movie that I ever saw in theaters, and that is also a very good movie. But this one is, you know, it's fun, but it's just not the best. I will say that there are definitely some highlights in this film. I love Will Ferrell in this movie as Marshall Willenholly, and if you really know popular culture, you get that reference, maybe not right away. It took me a few times to actually figure out what that was. Honestly, I have to thank Family Guy for that. But he is really over-the-top hilarious in this movie. There also is a great scene with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon later on in this movie, which is really great. And of course, just getting all the nostalgia and all the callbacks from all the other Kevin Smith movies. I mean, was it great to see Dante and Randall back in this film? Yes, not to mention the fact that we saw them for the first time in color. Was it great to see Jason Lee return as various characters like Brody from Mallrats and Banky from Chasing Amy. Of course, Ben Affleck as Holden McNeil, great. And of course, at the very end, you see a whole bunch of other guest appearances, which are really great. But I definitely will say that if you've never seen the Kevin Smith movies, you have to see everything from Clerks to Dogma before you actually pick up Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I also will say that probably the weakest part of this movie, dare I say it, is Jay and Silent Bob themselves. And I guess it's just because of the fact that it's really, really hard for them to carry a movie. I mean, they did it. There definitely were some moments with them that I did actually enjoy. I am very curious, however, to see how they're going to do it again in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I mean, it's crazy to believe that it's been almost 20 years since Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back actually came out in theaters as well. That movie will be turning 20 in 2021. I cannot believe that either. But it's got me curious, which was the reason why I had to revisit this one. But there's definitely some fun to be had in this movie. There are definitely some fun, cheap laughs. There's great music. There's great callbacks. So a View Askewniverse fan is going to appreciate it. But a true View Askewniverse fan is definitely not going to say that it's better than some of Kevin Smith's better films within this universe. But it was great to see a conclusion at the time, and now that there is no longer a conclusion from this movie, I'm really excited to see what Kevin Smith has in store, because it's been a while since we've actually seen him in the director's chair. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Those are my thoughts on Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've seen the movie, so put your comments in the box below, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.